Hello, y'all. I am back again for another video. And I just wanted to share something that I always do. I always do it, no matter the situation. And I do it in business, whether it be schools, any organization that I'm involved with that I do business with, whether it be for myself or my children. It's something that I always do that is very beneficial. And it's something that sometimes you don't realize you have a right to do. And some people are fearful of doing it because they think that their situation will get worse. So they will be more afraid to do this tactic because they will feel like they're going to lose something. My child is going to lose the ability to be able to go to this school. I'm not going to be able to rent or buy property here. I'm not going to be able to be a member of this fitness center. I'm not going to be able to work at this job anymore. I won't be allowed to have this attorney anymore. So there's a lot of fears that go along with this action that I take, but I do it all the time. And in every situation, I do this one thing. And for me to do this, the people that I'm doing business with, that I'm affiliated with, they have to do this action first. So I always do this when someone does this to me. When they lie on me, gaslight, or they put something, note or computer system, somewhat tampering with your documents and making something appear to be one way when it's not. So I did this video a couple of weeks and I was on the live. I was doing a live and I ended up getting a call and I put y'all on mute. And it was within the past 2 to 3 weeks, something like that. And so hello Maya or Mia. So thank you so much for the comment. Um Ayunita, hello to you as well. So I'm giving y'all an example of something that I always do. And you should do it too. And I highly recommend it. It will not make your situation worse. In the United States, we have very strong harassment laws. And in the United States, it's usually what you feel is harassment. So what I feel is harassment is once someone gaslights or lies on me. So within the last 2 or 3 weeks, I was on the live. I got a call that came through. And I mentioned to y'all that the lady, she said $4,409 or something. I'm not looking at my notes. But then she changed the amount that was paid to 4,000. So my payment went from 4,400 and some dollars to 4,000. So she was gaslighting. Since that time, this same lady, um, since that time, the same lady has gaslit again. So I talked to this lady on May 11th, and I made a payment arrangement. Okay, I said, okay, I'm gonna bring this amount in, and May 11th was on a Monday, I think, and so she kept saying on Friday, this Friday, when are you gonna be able to pay? And I said, well, I'm gonna bring you another $600 in, not this Friday, but the next Friday. Next Friday from May 11th would have been the 22nd of May. And I specified to her the 22nd of May. Okay. And so her and I were on the same page with that, so it appeared. But she actually put a note in my account stating that I would pay on the 15th, which makes it look like that I am not sticking to an arrangement. Okay. That's why you got to start recording all phone calls. Um, Going forward, when I have a business conversation, since I'm covered under fair use, I'm going to at least do a live on it and put it in my private lives or whatever, which I already do that with some of my calls. But I think I'm gonna, if I can, start doing it with most of my business calls because it's just getting to the point. You got so many psychopaths, narcissistic sociopaths. You got so many of them running around. You almost gotta like 24-hour surveillance, y'all. So I went in the office Friday and basically my money is being embezzled. None of my payments are being placed on my account. Okay, none of my payments. The lady has only been at this business for about 2 months, 2 to 3 months. And every payment that I've paid to her, some kind of way landing on my account. And she keeps saying that it's in a safe. It's not in a freaking safe. It's in the bitch's account. My money is going someplace else. It's not in the company safe. It's in the bitch's pocket. Okay. So I intuitively know that. So I went in on Friday because I agreed to pay an additional 600. So Friday would have been what, the 22nd. She says, so there's a new lady in the office. So the one I made the arrangement with, she's in that middle office. So what made her uncomfortable is I wanted another signed receipt. Every payment I make, I want a signed receipt. But the thief does not want to give me a signed receipt. She just wants to take my payment without a signed receipt. She doesn't want to give me a signed receipt. Okay. So she calls me in the back office. She was like, sorry, we can't accept that because of this, this, and that. I said, no, I clearly told you I was paying next Friday. And I gave you the date, May 22nd. I gave you the date, May 22nd. The date was not the 15th. I clarified that with you. There's no broken arrangement. I'm meeting my arrangement. That's why I'm here. I don't get that type of shit mixed up, y'all. First of all, if I can't pay something on a certain date, I'm not going to lie and say I can pay it. Thank you so much for the likes, y'all. So she's making it seem like she's helping me or whatever. So I'm calm and cool with her. I was calm and cool because I wanted to get my payment history. Okay. So you got to be cool. I'm always calm in these situations. So I said, well, can I get my payment history? She printed it out. She said, wow, this is thick. Yeah, it's thick because when I pay other people, they actually put it on my account. They actually post it. And I'm thinking this in my mind, but I don't say anything. Like, you think you're going to be able to read it? I said, I'll try my best. What she's really saying is, are you going to be able to read that and notice that your payments are not on the ledger? Or are you going to be able to read that enough to realize that you have the evidence to prove that I'm robbing you? That's what she's really. So she's asking me what my competency level is as far as if I'll be able to read this document. And I play dumb. I said, I'll try my best. I played like I was just slow as hell. I will try my best. I don't know, dog. I might get home and I can't read it all. I might get to my house and I can't spell my name. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I didn't say that part, but I'm thinking this in my mind. Those are my private thoughts. But I had to be calm and cool And I told my sons weeks ago, I said, there's an embezzlement going on. That's why my sons that live here, y'all, my relatives, they borderline think I'm like a miniature lord at this point because everything I predict be true. I told my son, both my sons, about 4 weeks ago, I said, we're being robbed. And they like, oh, mama, I'm like, promise. I knew something was wrong when she kept saying my money was in the safe. And this is a trans, y'all. This is a transgender. This is biologically a male, but since she's robbing me, let's call her a her. Let's let her be a female at this point. She want to be a woman, let her be a woman. I'm not even going to call her a biological man at this point because this man has leaped over all the way in the girl territory because now she's playing around with the girls. So let's let her play around with the girls. So I get the document. I go back in for a meeting on Saturday, which would have been yesterday. And it was so embarrassing because there's a new lady in this financial institution in this office, and it makes it appear to a stranger that I'm not paying my bills. And that was very embarrassing to me. I told Daniel, I said, she embarrassed me. That transgender embarrassed me in front of a stranger. So I went back in there, and the stranger was another black lady. So I went back in there Saturday, brought my evidence, and I basically showed the evidence to the two workers in the financial institution to show them my evidence of what I've been paying. And I said, I just want you to look at this document, this payment history, and I want you to notice that none of my payments, none of these receipts that I'm showing you, none of them are on this document. And this lady, this transgender, is asking me for another $6,000. I said, I don't owe $6,000. Yeah, it appears she's trying to make it look like I owe that because she won't post my payments. I don't owe $6,000. So one black girl does her own calculation, and she feels like I would have a credit on my account. She did her little calculation and determined I should have a credit. And so what I always do in these situations, they're supposed to be on like Tuesday, basically, right? And so what I always do in these type of situations, y'all, is, and I do this by surprise. So whenever somebody lies on me, gaslights, if y'all hear a background noise, that's the circulating air conditioner or fan, y'all. So if you in these type of situations, what I always do in these situations is I will not allow the predator, person that's gaslighting and telling the lies, to come into any future meetings. So I take my full right. And the reason it's easy to do this is because a lot of times who's victimizing or gaslighting or lying about your account, a lot of times they are not the actual manager. They will be like assistant managers. They will be other employees that work up under management. So I don't pre-warn the person that's telling the lie. And what I did when I went into the Saturday meeting, I updated my account. So whenever you find out weird notes or lies that have been put in your account, ask for your right to rebuttal that comment or add to the comment. So I had the employee, I asked the employee that was in there on Saturday if it was possible if I could add the truth of what happened. And what that does, that allows in corporate office to see that you're stating that what was originally said is not actually what you said or the truth. And in these type of situations, there's another tactic that I use. And also a lot of people will be sometimes a little fearful or intimidated because you may think you're going to lose something if you do this. So when there's been a pathological history on the worker to gaslight, lie, tell untruths, I don't give people a pass on that. So I will state that they're doing it on purpose. And one lady, she was like, well, she said the 15th. I said, that is a lie. That is a lie. I told her not this Friday, this was on the 11th, that I originally talked to the lady, the transgender. I said on May 11th, when she first said, well, you going to pay this Friday? I said, no, not this Friday, which is the 15th. I'm going to pay next Friday, which is the 22nd. And she agreed to that. So the worker, it's hard for a coworker or anyone that works side by side with someone to imagine they're lying or understand their lie. It's kind of like some people real naive, y'all. And if someone is fairly young and they don't have the experience of knowing how someone lied on them, they're pretty naive to the lying world. So they may not believe that someone does that. You know, this is where in the workplace you get to know your coworkers. So when I went in the meeting Saturday, I specifically said, the lied. She lied. I'm here with the 600 because this is the day I said I'm gonna pay it. And see, with me, one of the things I do, I have systems that I do the same way all the time. So one of the things I do when I'm making any payment arrangement or any future obligations with anyone, while I'm on that call, I always look at the current calendar. I'm not one of those people where I'm just doing it in my head. So I always look at the date, and that's the date I write down or put in my phone. So when I'm on this phone conversation talking to this lady or this transgender on May 11th, and I've had a pretty good interaction and relationship with the transgender community. I look at them as fairly honest people, but anybody can rob you, transgender or not. So I don't think, long as a human, anybody that's a human being can commit embezzlement, and they can steal, they can lie. Anybody can do that. Whether they a man dressed up as a lady, whether they born a man and they dressing like a man, whether they born a girl and they dressing like a lady, no matter what, anyone can rob. All they need is some fingers, right? So one of the things I always do this, and I do it without warning. This lady that's doing the embezzlement, or allegedly doing the embezzlement, my document shows that what I'm saying is correct. None of my payments is she posted on my account, while she's steadily asking for the full balance. And legally, when I went on AI to find out some more laws on this situation, they state on AI, for one, you need to get a lawyer involved, which I'm going to do that. They state on AI that If you're paying a company and your payments are not being posted, you have the legal right to now withhold your payments until this situation is corrected. So on AI, it says you have to demand in person or verbally or in writing that they post your prior payments that you've already paid. And until those payments are posted, you have a legal right not to pay on the bill anymore because there's potential embezzlement involved. So if you're paying a company and they're not posting your payments and they're not lowering your balance is not getting lower due to the payments that you paid. Your balance does not change in no kind of way. The balance of what you owe, then you have a legal right, according to AI, to withhold payments at this point. So something I always do, I have a meeting scheduled for Tuesday. And this thief, the one that's embezzling money from this company, she says, girl, because it's a transgender. She said, girl, I got you. I got you. I'm going to make sure that when you come in Tuesday to talk to corporate, I will be there, girl. I got you. I got your back. I got you covered. Which this transgender lady does not have my back because she's embezzling my money. So she doesn't have my back. I got the evidence. But you got to be calm and cool to get your evidence. To get my evidence, I even had to play like I couldn't read. She said, are you going to be able to read it? I said, I'll try my best. I'll try. I'm going to probably struggle. This is what I'm thinking in my mind, but I didn't say that to her. But I didn't let her on to knowing that I figured out there's embezzlement. But I knew something wasn't right because every time she did a collection call, she's asking me for the same amount of money. My balance never changes, and I'm consistently making pretty large payments. So it was all a red flag. But one of the things I always do, I don't care who lies on me or who gaslights. And overall, most people won't do it. But 25% of people will, even in the business world. I would say my luck has been pretty good. 75% of people are pretty honest. They have no interest on lying about your account. They genuinely want to rectify your account. But it was weird because it's transgender. She's black. It's a black transgender. When she first met me, many weeks back, she's only been with this financial institution about no more than 3 months. When she first met me in person, she said, oh, you're pretty. I said, thank you. Even though she a transgender, I said, you pretty too. She looked real good. She probably was a real fine man. She probably was one of the prettiest men out there because she looked just as good as me, and she's a biological man. So right there, that was flattery. She might not even think I'm pretty, to be honest. Just because somebody say you pretty don't mean they really believe it. They sometimes will just say it just to keep robbing you. So yeah, she telling me I'm pretty so that she can keep robbing and embezzling money off of my account. And she's hoping that that flattery will make me not read that document. I knew even before I read it that my payments were not going to be on there. But what I did, I made sure I read it when I left the office, which was on May 22nd. I read it when I left the office so that I can control my emotional side so I don't get mad in front of her face. Because I knew that once I read it, I'm not going to meet with this lady anymore. So this all the evidence points to this transgender is the one doing the embezzlement. So I don't have her last name. The financial institution, they won't give me her last name. They probably figure I'm going to call the police on her, but I will be able to get that Tuesday. I will be able to get the last name of the person Tuesday because I'll meet corporate people. But one of the things I always do in these type of situations, y'all, is I do a surprise. So the transgender lady, biological man, she said, I got you, girl. Tuesday, we're going to get this all sorted out, girl. I got you, girl. Because see, what someone does when they're not posting your accounts, when they're not posting your payments, I apologize for that. When they're not posting your payments, so say it's your vehicle and the financial institution is not posting your payments. Now the repossession man is calling you. The repo man is saying, we need to pick up this car at 6 p.m. today. And you're saying, but I paid you. It happens like that. So when someone is not posting your payments, they can cause you to lose your vehicle. Your business account will be at risk. Your business license. You can get evicted. You can lose memberships at fitness centers, any membership, boating clubs, boating organizations, golf club memberships. Any memberships can be lost due to this. It can affect student loans. If the student loan financial institution is not posting your payments on your account, then you can get a notice from the school that your account's not paid. You can't attend college here anymore. It can happen at private schools, grade schools, high schools. It can happen anywhere. So you got to keep your receipts. I always recommend, if possible, getting a signed receipt or just get a receipt, an electronic receipt, a signed receipt, get a receipt. So I always do this one thing, y'all, and it saves me every time. And so many people think, well, if I don't meet with this person that's lying on me, it's going to look bad to the business and they're going to be mad at me. I'm really going to lose my things. No, don't fear that. Just be polite. And what you do, you don't let them know ahead of time you're going to refuse to meet with that person. So when I go in Tuesday morning, I'm going to pull the corporate lady to the side and I'm going to say, I do not feel comfortable meeting with her because of this, this, and that. And she has already lied on my account. I want to take my rights in this state under the harassment laws. I don't feel comfortable and safe, and I do not want to meet with that lady. I do agree to the meeting, but I don't agree with that lady being involved in my private account and my affairs. Is that okay with you? And the answer will always be yes. It's always yes. I do it with police that if it's a financial institution, if the police lie, any organization that lies on me, I do the same tactic. If it's an assistant principal at a school, I've had a situation like that where the assistant principal, it was an Asian lady, y'all, a Korean lady, and she was bullying Daniel, picking on Daniel, just telling lies. And she's done it to other children as well. Daniel won't be her only victim. But in all of these situations, when that person thinks they're coming to the meeting, they're told at the last minute they're not welcome. That's your right. When it's your account and your private and your personal business regarding yourself, your money, or your children, you have a right to no longer allow that abuser, that liar, that embezzler in your meetings. And if you're brave enough to do this, this is what happens after. You don't lose anything, they do. So the transgender, her last week will be next week. And the reason it works when I do it, let me explain to you why it works. I'm considered credible and I have a good reputation in the state that I live. I have a good reputation with the policing system. Overall, I'm known as a pretty responsible, decent lady. So what happens when I say I'm not going to meet with you? I'm also considered overall pretty good natured. So the next question someone asks is, wow, if Miss Irene don't want to meet with you, you must be a pretty bad person. And the thing of why it works when I refuse to allow that person in my meeting, the people that see me do that brave move have they think I'm very brave. So they respect my bravery. Also, it gives them an idea of areas in their life that they should be doing it. Somebody can be the president of a company and not really realize and use that tactic enough. You can be the president of a company and you could be having 5 motherfuckers come in the once a month meeting and harass the shit out of you, smear your name and everything. And the president of the company forgets that they can say, I want you to leave the meeting. You lose sight of that no contact rule. It's like you're so busy planning the team and looking out for people, you forget your right to put motherfuckers out. And this person that's coming in, if you're the president of a company, this person that's coming in harassing you once a month at every meeting, you want them fired, but they won't get fired until you start putting their asses out the meeting. You have to show and prove that their behavior is unbearable and intolerable until you visually show your discomfort to this nasty spirited motherfucker. You're gonna keep having to suffer. So in every situation where I do this one thing, where I say, no, I don't want them in my meeting, the outcome is that the person is fired. Okay, they're fired immediately or some months in. 2, they're demoted. 3, major privileges are taken away. Okay, so for example, in an assistant principal situation, she or he becomes someone that's no longer allowed to write the children up. So their duties are limited. When I say I don't want them in my meeting, they're also not allowed in other parental meetings. Okay, so this is the way it happens. Okay, so this is a tactic I always use. It works. It won't fail you. And I do it without notice. It works better to do it without notice. Because see, if you don't notify that you don't want this person in the meeting, the other higher ups can't refuse the meeting. So when I meet with corporate on Tuesday, because I'm not telling them ahead of time that I don't want this transgender embezzler in the meeting, the corporate office doesn't have time to refuse the meeting. The meeting's already scheduled. And it goes like this. When you tell somebody in their face you refuse to meet with them, that can be considered very assertive in nature. It's not bullying, but it's very assertive, and you consider not the punk ass bitch. So they proceed with the meeting because at that point, if they don't proceed with the meeting, it can create a liability, and it can appear that they're on the embezzler side or on the abuser side. And no corporate company wants to be liable for that type of reputation. So all they're gonna do, like that transgender, her job gone. When I go in Tuesday for the corporate meeting, she'll be gone by next Friday. It will happen that way. And it's because of this. She's employed, the transgender lady, she's employed with the financial institution, but they have more of a history with me. So see, when people do things to you, whether it be rob you, try to ruin your reputation, lie on me, they never look at who you are to this establishment, who you are to this community. So because they consider you as weak, they consider you as somebody that nobody will look out for. And they don't think you're going to be brave enough or assertive enough or strategic enough to remove them from the meeting, because they don't consider you to have any power because you're not a worker there at this financial institution. But you do have power because it's your account. You have more power, and you have a lot of powers that even that worker don't have because it is your account. And you got your privacy rights too. And if you don't want in your account anymore, it infringes on your privacy rights, and that corporation has to let that employee go. So you're not going to lose anything that an employee does. This tactic works every single time. But for me to use this tactic, the person that's the employee or the assistant manager, or in some cases the manager, they have to meet a certain criteria. So the first thing the person has to do is lie on me, gaslight, and commit fraud on my account. Now, once they do all of that, they give me the evidence I need to get them off of my account. And in this case, I have more than just verbal evidence. I have a packet and a document to prove the embezzlement, because on that packet and document, none of my payments have been posted since February of 2026. I have all my receipts, but none of my payments are posted on there. So it's very heartbreaking, but this is the way people are coming up on some money, y'all. You know, everybody not going and getting a pistol and robbing people at gunpoint. Other people are doing it by embezzling accounts. They can do it through mailbox services, any club memberships, any properties or landlords, student loan collection organizations. You know, you'll just be paying your little heart away, and none of those payments are going onto your account. And eventually it will come out. So I will be using this tactic Tuesday morning. It's a tactic that I always use. And it's not in your best interest to have someone in a meeting regarding your business that is actively lying or gaslighting and putting fraudulent notes in the system to make you lose privileges, property, or your ability to be involved in certain activities like educational activities. So Use this tactic. Never be afraid to use it, and don't warn them that it's going to be happening. Unless you're in a contract that requires you to give a warning. And in those type of contracts, you will have to give a warning in writing within 48 to 72 hours, whatever the stipulations are. But this is not that type of contract. I don't have to give a warning to say I don't want that person in my meeting because that person is committing fraud. And also, when you, like I said, I will do it when I show up at the meeting. And it's kind of fun, y'all, because it gives you an opportunity to get a little revenge and a little silent, passive aggressive revenge on someone that has harmed you. Retaliating, not revenge. Revenge is different, but retaliating is something people do to people that have harmed them. So if you look up the word retaliate, it says to get back at someone that's harmed you. So retaliation, under the definition, is much different than revenge. You could get revenge on somebody and they're in the right. Retaliation, it specifically says, I think on like one of the Oxford dictionaries online, retaliation is getting back at someone that has harmed you. So retaliation is an appropriate word for what the victim is doing against the perpetrator, abuser, or predator. So I do this without warning. I go to the meeting. The predator think they're coming to the meeting. So the retaliation is a little fun because this transgender lady has robbed me and been robbing me since February of 2026. She's robbing my account, embezzling. Okay, so she thinks that she's actually going to attend the meeting. So she's going to show up, and I will say, I will pull the corporate lady to the side and refuse to allow her in my meeting. And they don't mind doing it because corporate, what they don't want you doing is wasting their time. So corporate don't care as long as I go in the meeting with corporate. If I'm saying that employee, I don't want them in my private account meeting, then corporate is going to be like, cool. At least I didn't fly all the way out of town to meet with you for you to tell me I can't come. So in these cases, you're agreeing to meet with the bigwigs. You just getting that little predator out of your meeting, which really that's a big predator because this lady or this transgender is embezzling money. Okay, so I will be utilizing this tactic on Tuesday. I wanted to make y'all aware of it. And I do videos here and there about business stuff and helping y'all and myself with things of business nature. And always be calm so you can get your evidence. Even if you know somebody that took every dime you paid, remain calm. The Lord will handle it. And you need to be calm so you can get your proof that they're doing it. I knew she was doing it even before I got the payment history ledger. I knew that she was doing it. I knew that she wasn't putting my payments on my account. And one of the red flags that I knew she was doing that is when she kept saying, "Oh, you're so pretty." See, that compliment don't make me stop reading my papers. Telling me I'm pretty or you think I'm pretty doesn't make me not know the numbers. I know how much I owe right in my head. It's written down and it's in my mind. I know how much my bill should be. I know my bill don't go from 5,000 to 10,000 overnight. I know my bill don't go from 10,000 to 20,000 in a week. That's not how that happens. So the lady or the transgender flattery was a red flag. Because the very first time she seen me, she was like, "Oh, you're so pretty." I already know something going on. I'm thinking in my head, I wonder what's going on with her, dog. I'm thinking in my head because the compliment was genuine, but it had a disingenuous nature to it as well. Something wasn't right about it. So this will be the tactic that I will be using on Tuesday morning or afternoon. It works. Do not allow liars in your meetings when you're resolving things. Also, you want to be safe as well because you don't want to be shot down, right? You don't want to be fucking around with no transgender and get yourself beat up. Because I have to remember, lady, it's a whole man. And it's a black man on top of that. It's a nigga. And in this case, it's a nigga because he robbing my account. So you want to be safe in meetings. You don't want to be in a meeting snitching on this grown ass man and get yourself hurt or be in some kind of physical dispute. So removing the predator or liar or abuser or gaslighter from your meeting allows you to be able to tell on them in comfort, and you tell on them safely. Okay, it's a safer way to do things. It's part of no contact, and it's an area of no contact that a lot of times we forget to do or we don't think about doing. Even presidents of companies lose sight of doing it. You can be a CEO of a company and you lose sight of your right to do that. And then you're like, damn, I want to fire this person. I want to get them out of my company, but I don't know how. The first step to getting them out of your company is to display, verbally say, conjure up your evidence, correct evidence, not fraud. Like I got a whole packet. And from February of 2026, it will show that this transgender is not posting any of my damn payments. She done robbed me for like thousands and thousands of dollars at this point. So get your evidence together, remove them from meetings, but it's a tactic that, like I said, anybody can lose sight of because you forget about your right to do it. If you're the leader, you're the president, you're the manager, or it's your business account, it's your account. It's my account that this is happening to. It's under your privacy laws, y'all. The account holder has rights to determine who is allowed to see, read, and discuss their account. Never forget that. It doesn't matter if it's your vehicle payment, a student loan, a landlord, club memberships. It doesn't matter. That's your right. Please like, share, and subscribe, y'all. And do y'all have any questions about this? So, and I'll let y'all know how it went Tuesday morning. I'll let you know how it went on Tuesday morning. Thank you so much for the likes. Please like, share, and subscribe. And tune in for more right here with the Advanced Insight channel. Thank you to Mia Arcadio. And thank you to Ayu Nita. Thank you so much for the comments. And tune in for more right here with the Advanced Insight channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Again, thank you for the likes and the chats and comments. Bye.